Hello, welcome to the full moon in Leo. I have exciting news. Okay, my coverage of Uranus squaring. We got lots to talk about for this week. Anyway, I have some really good news for those of you who remember how last year was so hard on me and I lost my beautiful kitties, actually all four of them since a year ago, August. But guess what? Things leave and things come around, and I am here to introduce you to hello, sweet baby. Hello, says hello. Hello, my name is Lucas Gabriel, and Percy, you're calling him for short. That's what. Anyway, yes, I know. Oh, he weighs a ton. Oh, goodness. Hello, say hello. Say hi. I am a big baby. Oh, anyway, I'm gonna let him down, but he is a big boy. Yes, baby. Okay, I know. Some Leos don't like the camera. It's okay. Anyway, for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome, welcome. My name is Irlianna, out of breath, Samsara, and it's StarSound Astrology. This is StarSound Speaks, episode 235, I think. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about the new moon, the full moon in Leo, and the Astro for this week. So yeah, that was my my good news. Unexpected to be seeing, but I adopted my sweet baby a week ago, and didn't see that coming either. But I was ready, and he is my previous cat that 14 years. His name was Lucas, and the day that I adopted him, my friend saw twice a truck that drove around town with the name Lucas in giant letters. And we had only seen this truck. It's an air conditioning service. We'd only seen this truck once before when Lucas passed last August. So he showed up on last Monday morning, Lucas, right? And then again on a billboard. And I had this hankering to go down to the local shelter, so I did. And I asked about my my kitty. Which is now my kitty, this cat that I had been connected with, kept checking in on him. I had called him in. He was a sick kitty on my street, and he became sick, and I called him in, and they took him and they had him in sick bay for like 5.5 weeks, 5.5 months. Unbelievable. Long story short, anyway, I went down. I felt, you know what, you just have to go down. Well, that when I got there, the shelter said, well, we've cleared him. After 5.5 months of treating him, they finally got him well enough to put him up for adoption. And I asked to see him, and there it was, you know. And they said, well, we actually we decided, since he's been here for so long, we've decided to give him a name. We call him Lucas. So obviously that was that was it. I'm like, okay, you're coming home with me. So I didn't want to have the same name, so I called him Lucas. This is homage to Mars and Gemini. I keep changing directions on what name I'm going to name him. But anyway, I didn't want to call him Lucas all over again, but the name Gabriel came to me. So I said, okay, it's Lucas Gabriel. But then yesterday I was like, well, I really like the name Percy. So I think his official name is Lucas Gabriel, but I'm calling him Percy. So thank you, Percy. Thank you, baby. Thank you for jumping on the camera. And, you know, he's just his own. He's 16 pounds. This cat is enormous. So yes, talk about, this is the full moon of my year. So for all of you guys that are Leos out there, this new moon, I keep saying new moon, this full moon in Leo is the halfway point of the person who has a Leo sun. So of course that's a culmination, that's a highlight of things. And when it was my birthday, that's when I had to put Lucas down, right, like 5 days before my birthday. So this is definitely a culmination, and you know, of all of my kitty adventures. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. So yeah, this week, what am I going to talk about? Well, let me pull up my notes here. Yeah, a few interesting things to note. Certainly, before I just I want to make an announcement, and one other announcement. It's an item coming up for this weekend, the Queer Astrology Conference, hosted by my fellow vegan astrologer cohort. He's amazing. He's from New York, Demetrius Begley, and he is hosting. This is the 6th edition QAC of QAC 2023. They, marched on through the pandemic. Nothing stops Demetrius. He's on a mission. And every year he brings together an amazing group of brilliant, brilliant minds in astrology. This year, everyone on this, who are facilitating discussions are, it's queer and BIPOC, BIPOC, Black and Indigenous people of color. So it's got a really brilliant eclectic mix. This is open, and well, of course, the LGBT community and BIPOC community are, of course, welcome, and at the same time, you can be, cis het, any of the above, of course, respectful for everyone, respectful, but everyone is welcome. And I say, even, so if you're not queer or cis het or whatever, it doesn't matter, because the ideas and the presentations and the subject matter apply to all of us, wherever we are on that spectrum. And it's certainly very enriching. A couple of years ago, I actually sat in on one of the talks. It was just amazing. I just felt so expanded. Just to be around brilliant people is just amazing. And to see astrology through the eyes of this new generation of people who are coming up, it's just phenomenal. So anyway, I know Demetrius has worked very hard to bring this all to you. Alice Sparkly Cat is one of the presenters, and I had her on my show a couple of years ago, a brilliant mind. So anyway, I just give you, this is an invite to check it out. Of course, everybody can keep recordings from this. So if you get to this if you see this video after this coming weekend of 4th and 5th of February, just know that you can still purchase. Attendance is very reasonable. There's tiers. All you have to do is click on the link below, queerastrology.com, and click on the blue snowflake on the left side of the screen, and that'll take you to registration. You can pick your tier and participate and support these good folks. So anyway, having said that, I also want to say shout out, happy Black History Month. Yay, February. And so, and now we will move on. All right, so the first thing is, of course, Sunday afternoon, 1:28 in the afternoon, Eastern time, so just adjusted for your time zones, we have the full moon in Leo at 16 degrees 40 seconds. And why is this important? Well, there's two things. One is that the eclipse happens at 16 degrees of Leo, which is 16 degrees was the degree of the eclipse of November 8th. We had that lunar eclipse, and it was very, it was November 8th. Was it November 8th? Yeah, I'm just checking, double checking. Yeah, it was the 16 degrees, the lunar eclipse. And let me pull that up here for you guys. Let me see here, we got this. And here it is. This is our full moon in Leo set for Washington, D.C. And so we had that lunar eclipse in Taurus on November 8th. And so this is also at 16 degrees of Scorpio. And so here's this full moon at 16 degrees Leo. So it's at the bending of the nodes. So we are at the bending of the nodes of the Taurus Scorpio eclipse cycle. We're at the midpoint here. So this is definitely going to bring up some resonance with themes that may have come up around that time, November 8th, Taurus Scorpio eclipses. And so fixed signs are about, hey, things changing, things moving forward with the full moon, things coming to fruition. I know for me, I just, the cat, for one thing, the enormous loss that losing my cats over the summer. And of course, my chart was making some really heavy duty transits and squares and things, but on the fixed axis. So yes, here it comes. So, it's just about a culmination. And there's something also I want to say about conflict. When we have a full moon, obviously it's always in the opposite sign as the new moon. So we had our new moon in Aquarius, and here's our full moon. So something comes to fruition, something comes to harvest, and to be the fruit is ready for picking and harvesting, right? That is the symbology of a full moon. This full moon in Leo it activates those eclipses. And I also want to say that, you know, with that, there's a square with Uranus and Taurus. And so as we can see here, Uranus is applying, you know, by 1 degree. So there's a very tight square with that, with our full moon. And, you know, what would that represent? Well, you know, there's this, with this particular eclipse, it's, you know, there's a struggle between, when we have a Leo full moon in Leo, we have a struggle between the mind and the heart, between freedom, which is represented by Aquarius, freedom, progress of the future self, you could say, unity consciousness. And there's this kind of struggle and an integration that needs to happen between our mind and our heart, between like being free and being ourselves, our beautiful, magnificent, divine Leo self, right? The self, like not necessarily the egoic self, although we do have to manage that, but it's the self of the greater self, the individuated self. So there's this tug of war and this kind of, there asks to be this kind of integration and weaving. So in this struggle between the mind and the heart, between, let's say, society and being, you know, there's this maybe an identity crisis. Maybe it's like, who am I relative to society? How do I stand in unity with everyone and be a part of something greater without losing my own identity? How can I bring my unique creative self to something larger than me, to how I can give myself to something larger than me? The square from Uranus is about, you know, there's action that needs to be taken regarding, say, stuck ways of being that need to be dislodged, that where we've become too comfortable, and maybe it's in with our values or what our comfort zone is. And so this is about, you know, coming into ourselves, maybe incorporating new values or new ways of relating and connecting with others as part of what comes up for this full moon. Okay, moving on. Monday the 6th, we have Mercury in Capricorn, these late stages of Capricorn. Is Mercury's taken on, you know, he's usually that playful trickster. Well, in the sign of Capricorn, it's very much serious, committed, serious conversations have been the way it's been there, of course, for the retrograde and all. So there's these serious conversations around the achieving our goals and achieving and giving ourselves agreements and conversations and thinking about the larger, about society at large, you know, Capricorn ruling the foundation of society and our infrastructure and politicians and politics and government. So there've been some serious convos around those themes. Mercury is going to be out of its shadow, of that retrograde shadow, on Tuesday. Yay! So there's any misunderstandings or any of those final little assumptions or miscommunications between us, most of it has been cleared up, and the final wisp, we're finally out of that phase Tuesday, February 7th. But the day before, Mercury will have this, will breeze through a little sextile, a little with Neptune and Pisces. So we could say that, you know, the conversations about commitment and seriousness and planning and goal setting and reaching our goals for the future, it will meet up with that beautiful, you know, Neptune energy of dreams and ideals. You know, like, what are our ideal commitments? What are our ideal conversations regarding things that are serious and long lasting, and maybe maturity and wisdom and such, all blended together. So passes through that sextile, finally out of the shadow on Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, by the middle of the week, we have Venus comes into a nice sextile. Sextile is of the nature of Venus anyway, it's 60 degrees apart. So there's this nice a kind of a whiff of inspiration. It might bring us, you know, maybe some unusual out of the box thinking regarding our who we connect with, how we connect, our values around love and connection, and the things that are financial considerations. You know, we could find some, maybe a little windfall there, a little something that, you know, boom, boom, we don't see. It could also apply to like unusual love connections. We could also perhaps be seeing like forgiveness when you think about Uranus in Venus in Pisces, that's a very sweet, kind, soft energy. It's, Venus in her exaltation. So maybe there's some forgiveness, and maybe forgiveness can help us manage and create a break from the past, maybe a break from past traumas, maybe love or relationship traumas. Coming around and softening these things, stuck traumas over maybe our self-worth, our financial stories, or stories of just self-esteem in general. These are all things that we might, that could be very much up in the cards for us come the middle of the week. By the end of the week, Friday, February 10th, Saturday, February 11th, we have Mercury in its final, he's saying goodbye finally to Pluto in Aquarius after meeting up with him for 15 years in the sign of Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto Aquarius. I'm thinking too far ahead. Pluto in Capricorn. It's already old news, right? We're already on to Pluto and Aquarius. We're done with you, Pluto and Capricorn. Like, please, could we look at our shadow any deeper with government and infrastructure? Right? Well, Mercury is actually saying, okay, one more convo with him in that sign of Capricorn. What does that mean? What does that look like? It's the final contact of, except for the moon, which will make 2 more contacts with Pluto before he leaves for Aquarius in March. Mercury is the last planet, because the moon's one of the luminaries. She's in a position by herself, but Mercury is the last planet to say goodbye to Pluto in Capricorn, when they're both hanging in that house, in that Airbnb of Saturn. And so this is a final conversation, literally, with things under the hood and things that need to be renewed, poisonous conversations and toxicities that we may have held on to, that we have been bound by, and it's like loosening and healing and regenerating. And so I find it interesting too that this past week, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, got national and international attention because in the Florida government, he was saying no to this AP history course on African American studies. It's the only state in the union that was against it. And the college board, who puts on the AP, so advanced placement exams and courses, they actually, apparently not because of him, because they say they don't back down or they don't bow to political pressure officially. However, they did kind of do a little reverse, a very Mercury last minute, Mercury coming out of the shadow. There's this backtracking of agreements and communication, conversations around structuring things, and education. Mercury, of course, ruling elementary and high school education, which this falls into. So, here is this conversation that had this little backtrack, and of course Mercury and Capricorn, there was this kind of restriction of speech around what that curriculum could hold, and they dropped some authors like Bell Hooks and other authors from this curriculum. And so I was sad to read that, and that there was a Mercury and conjunct Pluto coming this week, so who knows, there's maybe more to the story, and it may not be finished. I don't think it is. But anyway, they did retract and modify some of it, but they said that those modifications were already in the works before Ron DeSantis came along and said all these things around them disagreeing, and that he didn't feel that it represented accurately. He's has a real problem, and really there's a big backlash. Who he represents and the forces of consciousness that he is representing in this play, and this play of consciousness is this kind of retraction to the past and traditional values, and this not wanting to be stuck in the past and old ways of structuring reality. And of course, this is coming along with Pluto and Capricorn, and lifting the lid on the African American, the pain body, the 1619 Project he was against. So you can see how all this is coming out in the open and being played out. Mercury making the last conjunction with Pluto on Friday, February 10th is the last time he gets to dance with Pluto in that sign of Capricorn. When he meets up with him next, Pluto will, in March, he will already be at 0 Aquarius. So it'll be a different conversation. And so it's interesting. I think what a little preview of what that might look like is Saturday, February 11th, when Mercury enters into Aquarius. And so there's this, there's that conversation shifts to the future and unusual problem solving or genius, innovative ways of thinking that will be about freedom and liberation, right? The Aquarian way, the future self and future society and our ideal society of diversity and inclusion and fairness to all. So Mercury will be in that vibration of Aquarius, tie-dyed shirts for Mercury in Aquarius. No, anyway, no, but seriously, so that we might see a, because Mercury does rule, it's kind of, the twins, right? There's this polarity and there's that polarity, and there's like this blending and switching and changing places and changing again. Mercury being Quicksilver, it's very obvious, right? So we might, perhaps with conversations like the 1619 Project and, that Ron DeSantis, the backlash that DeSantis unleashed, there could be this, we could be seeing another development that moves that along, and maybe perhaps in a more humanitarian way because of it being in Aquarius. So that'll be Saturday, about a 3-week trip Mercury will take through Aquarius. But in those first few degrees, Saturday, Sunday of next, of finishing out the week, it could give us a preview of our mindset with Pluto's entrance coming up in March. Mercury rules the rational thinking mind, and in the sign of Aquarius, it's technology. So AI will be a very big comment. It'll be very loud. Then Mercury will then make its final goodbye to Saturn when at the few weeks later. So about 3 weeks from now. So between Pluto and Saturn and Mercury making these final contacts, you could feel that end of an era, and this herald, Mercury being that messenger herald of a new age, of new era. And so kissing goodbye, one archetype, one where it's played out in Capricorn, and then saying hello to the future, saying, this era of how we structure our society and what would be our ideal society, and the thoughts and conversations along those lines, and what agreements that we're going to see. So that could be a quick little preview to watch for next weekend. I want to finish my chat with you today by just showing you some fun little stuff I think you're really gonna love. Oh gosh, I've had this moon thing up the whole time. Oh, by the way, let me just finish by saying full moon Leo, I forgot to mention, we also have this weekend this nice, look at this this square, an interesting square between Venus and Mars as this full moon is happening. Venus and Pisces, putting the pressure on Mars, stop warring, stop arguing and fighting, bring in an element. We need to engage with forgiveness and compassion. So we can be brave and strong, but make sure we're not clobbering people and killing people. Hopefully there's this, I think about the people in Iran and all the countries around the world, Peru and Brazil, and oh my goodness, so many places where people are fighting for justice and rights and speaking up. And this element of compassion and forgiveness, it is so sorely needed. This also may come into the play with our full moon this weekend. And also we've got Jupiter in Aries, that the march forward, the rights of the individual is very, very much engaged with, unfortunately that military buildup. We see that also in Taiwan and in the Ukraine and different places. But also that bravery of standing up for what is true and what is right for the individual, that courage, passion, and bravery. So we see all those at play as well. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about something fun here. We'll finish off with something I found. I think it was so cute. I just think this is so adorable. This is so Uranus and Taurus. This woman in Switzerland, she got the Guinness Book of World Records. This is from this website. A Switzerland baker makes Guinness Book of World Records, wearable cake dress. Apparently it's been a thing. Hey, you know, Uranus and Taurus, what can I say? Unusual ways to eat and be decorative. Anyway, it's this large, it's 131 kilograms, which I did by math, is 288 pounds, the world's largest wearable cake. So here's this full moon in Uranus greeting this full moon in Leo with this. I mean, isn't this amazing? Here they are cutting this, you know, the cake and the frosting, and how I'm thinking, how did she get this on? Well, she came up from, they showed this video where she came up from underneath the floor, I don't know, rising up from this floor and like into the dress, as you can see she's doing here. And this is like this buttercream kind of frosting, and then there were wheels on the bottom, so it enabled her to like walk with it, because she had to walk 16 feet in order to get the record, to be qualified or be under consideration. So she walked 16 feet at least with this cake around her, and everybody had a piece of cake, and it had a million views on Instagram. But yeah, this is it's pretty. This woman named Natasha Colleen Kim Fa Lee Focus, and she made this cake, and it was unveiled back in January in Switzerland, the Swiss World Wedding Fair. But interesting, yeah, it wasn't a full moon in Leo, but it was certainly Uranus was getting ready to station direct again. So yeah, innovations with food, we can certainly put that into that category. But anyway, I just thought that was so cute. And I can imagine, like, wow, just all that cake. Yes, you can have your cake and eat it too. It was so yeah, that is that really takes the cake. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I don't know. I could do a Uranus and Taurus scrapbook, and that would definitely be one of the highlights of all these. You know, we've got 8 years of Uranus and Taurus, and we're only halfway through. So I would definitely put that one at the top. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. It's been a joy being with you always, sending you lots of love and blessings for a very blessed and illuminating full moon in Leo, and a great week ahead. I'll see you next time. My name is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Namaste.